get started. Welcome to our second Lunch and Learn here at Wework. My name is Nicole, and I am a collaborative partner of SparkU. We have an office up on the 3rd floor. Sorry, just got back from some time off, and they moved us. So today's topic is resources. And being a dual business owner, I have 2 businesses that I own. This topic usually is approached in the way of let me provide you resources. And we're going to actually switch that up a little bit and talk more about how to understand your resources and then seek out different ones. Before I do that, sorry, there's a little bit of commotion. Before I do that, though, I just want to talk a little bit about SparkU. We are growing quickly. We are an organization that helps untapped entrepreneurial talent launch their businesses. We have several programs, one of which is this Lunch and Learn. We also have a what we call Get Stuff Done. Lynn and I started that over a year ago, just as entrepreneurs, actually as a resource to each other to actually sit down and get our work done. And so we do that over at the Commons on the first Thursday of every month. We also have one day, half day and 1 day startup fests that are really like startup intensives. And usually the last one we had was in Aurora with one of our partners. And we'll have another one coming up in August, correct? Yeah. And then we have an accelerator program that is starting actually this Thursday. We have a morning accelerator that's a 3-hour intensive. And we have an evening accelerator that's also 3 hours. And that is an 8-week program. And Lynn will talk a little bit more about that at the end, who is also one of our speakers today. So please, if at any point something feels like it is calling to you, the best way to stay connected is to sign up for our newsletter, as always. We launched the website 5 minutes ago. We relaunched our website 5 minutes ago. So it's sparku.com. Yes? Okay, still sparku.net. So you can access all that information there. And at any time, please, use the restroom, get food, and access these guys as resources. So we're going to get started. One of the ways that we think about the way we help entrepreneurs is to really access what are your natural resources. So what do you naturally do? Some of us are natural social media people. We're on there 24/7 because we like it. And that's your reason. It might not be your product, but that's a resource to you, right? Others of us, that is an energy killer. Getting on anything, like a couple of our teammates, they're like, I won't even get an account. I'm not touching it. And so what we really do is sit down with people and look at what do you naturally do besides the product that you're selling. What do you naturally like to do? It comes with ease. And then once we know that, we go and look at what are the resources that take you like you are fighting that time. You probably can do it, you might be good at it, but it takes you forever to do. A lot of times, getting creative in that process helps you to access other resources than what people are telling you you should do. So that's part of why we have a diverse panel today of different types of resources. And I'm going to have each one of these gentlemen introduce themselves and what industry they're in. I think that's where we were going, is a different diversity in the industries they are from. And then they're going to talk, as you guys are introducing yourselves and a little bit about you, talk about the resources that you kind of access and how you get that to people. Is that good? And then we'll do a question and answer, and then we'll be done with lunch because it's a quick lunch and learn. All right, sound good? All right, I'm glad you're all here. So let's start with Lynn. Yeah, because he's our veteran.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Lynn Wilson. I'm the founder of Spark U, and I have been running Spark U for 3 years, probably a little longer than that. But basically, I wanted to start something where you had an incubator that targeted students as well as folks that just struggle with getting started as entrepreneurs. I have been there. I started my first successful business back in '99 as a computer consultant, and I knew how to do computers. So it's interesting what Nicole mentioned about, knowing a craft really well, but does that really translate to being a business person? I didn't know until I actually got an opportunity to start supporting small business owners, fixing Y2K, doing build outs, and realized that I was really burning the candle at both ends, trying to still work full time and run this business full time. And I didn't have any mentorship, I didn't have any resources to help me figure out how to actually run it as a business. I was just running around as a contractor. So the Lone Ranger thing is something that I'm really against. I think that you get a lot more value by being inclusive, collaborating with other business owners, seeing what their strengths are, seeing what your strengths are, and just working together. I don't necessarily consider it bartering. I mean, I think that you need to acknowledge that everybody has value. And so part of that is figuring out, okay, what value do I bring to the table? What value do you bring to the table? And how can we work with each other and still be happy and keep our lights on? So, what was the question? Introduce ourselves. So I do have a day job. I am a professor. I teach on Auraria campus. I teach entrepreneurship. I teach business. Some of my students are here. Shout out to all my BizCom students who showed up. Appreciate it. And so I tried to create that bridge for my students to see that you don't have to wait till you're done with college to experience real world business. And I encourage that because I was fortunate enough to be an intern throughout my undergrad experience, and I was light years ahead of a lot of my colleagues who were way smarter than me, way more talented, but I had the experience, and so I got hired right out of college with no problems. So I'll just leave it at that because I probably didn't address everything.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Naveen. I'm the co-founder of a company called, not that, but a company called Crowd Raising. So our mission is to decentralize work. We are the platform where you can post any amount of work, get recommendations, get resources, get rewarded for that work when you do it. So think of us as a decentralized, open source, giant Trello for the entire planet. That's what we do. About me, I used to be a business consultant. I was taught computer science, but I swear I forgot everything. So yeah, just working to help entrepreneurs. One of the missions of my company is to get entrepreneurs from idea to product as quickly as possible by building a community around them. One thing that business people, entrepreneurs fail to do on a very regular basis is talk to customers. They think they can build a better mousetrap and people will come to them. But just going out into the real world, talking to people is something that most of the community lacks. So our platform is one way to answer that question. I'll be around after if you have any questions, so come talk to me after.
All right, everybody, my name is Darrell Bro. I am actually a musician out here. I'm a music artist. I go by D-Rain. The reason why I'm here today is because I'm building my own business to manage artists, booking artists, and other things as well. In that source, I'm in the entertainment business, so the reason why they brought me here today is because I told them some of the major things I'm doing. I have been out of town, I've been on tour, setting up more tours later this year. So the thing that I do is I also auto engineer. Trying to hit every point for you guys. So I audio engineer as well, produce, I do a lot of things. Like she said earlier, social media is one of my things. I figured out how to get fans, and I figured out how to get like thousands of fans on there. So, and like real people as well. So I'm a good resource if you are into music. If you need any help with that, I can help you out. I'm here for everybody, helping artists today grow. I have a few artists that I'm about to manage. They're both from Nebraska, so I'm just helping them out and trying to see where it goes. These guys are going to help me grow my business as well, so they're going to help me with clothing, everything here. So these are some great people to be around, and you know, like I said, if you need any help with anything musical or any type of entertainment, any type of business for that, just holler at me. Like I work with a lot of big artists in town, so like yeah, man. I don't know what else. What else? That's good. All right, cool. Yeah, all right, guys.
So definitely a lot of different resources from different type of businesses. One of the things that I personally kind of root into and think about when I'm thinking about doing business is just the infinity symbol. You can't just always take, you can't just always give. And I think that helps to remind me personally that I need to actually receive, I need to ask for help, and then to not waste my time, I need to be smart about that. And really know, sometimes, you know, I know how to do something well, and the cost of my time is just, it's too much. And so I have to ask for help, right? And when you're just getting started out, there is a lot of barter trade, and then it's kind of a sign of that next step is like, oh, I can actually pay for this. And then I can pay well for this. I can actually pay what I know is the value. And so wherever you are in that spectrum, I think we're just going to engage in that conversation with our panel. So if you have any questions, now would be the time. Otherwise, I will ask those questions gladly as well. So anyone?
That we could be good at something, but we're like, we're too slow, we're not efficient. So this is where we interact with other people, trying to get like more benefit out of that and focus on our good things. We're able to do that, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're talking about online businesses that are starting, or are you looking at also about businesses that are already running?
I would say any stage that you're at, it's a way to build community. I think it's a natural way to build community and partnerships and collaborations is to know where you want to reach out for something. And a good place to start anywhere is what am I good at, but what also just takes me a lot of time. And looking at your various, for me, I believe there's various forms of wealth. And it's not just money. So it might not be money and time too. It might be, you might be working with someone and that relationship is a hard relationship. You're pulling from somebody a lot. You have to pull out something from them. So knowing your resources where you can find multiple people. Am I making sense? Did you follow it? Yeah. So, but I think it's looking at everything as a resource at any time. And building a practice in your own business, wherever you are, to kind of constantly be an assessment of that. Is that good at that? Yeah.
So let me just give you some premise on just where I'm coming from. I moved back here in 2007, $500,000 in the hole, on the verge of bankruptcy, foreclosures looming, after just having started a real estate business in Florida. And so the thing I promised myself when I moved back here is that I would figure out a way to completely run an equity-based company and teach other people how to do that. And so that is a complete paradigm shift on how most people run businesses. And that was really challenging even for myself mentally, because I was used to leveraging my credit, leveraging money. And so I had to figure out, as Nicole mentioned, what are my other assets? What are my other capital strengths? And I realized through my journey that I'm a really good networker. I got that from my mom and my grandmother. And so I can meet people really fast, connect with people really fast, and they're willing to help me, and I'm willing to help them. And there's this symbiotic relationship sometimes that can happen, because I'm really a relation-based person when it comes to business. So from there, you can grow organically, and that's what I chose to do. You know, with money you can leverage time a lot, right? You can make things go faster, and I think that's what Nicole might have been alluding to. Once you start scaling and getting to a certain point, you can afford people. What if you can? But your heart is burning to still run a business. Then what? You don't have any money to pay anybody. So you have to figure out how to get creative. And so that creativity comes from challenging yourself on what you can provide to other people that they will value, so that they will give you what you need. So then you got to figure out what you need that you don't have, that will make your business more effective, efficient, and expedient. And then eventually you can get to a place where you can start paying them, because in the back of your mind, you know you want to pay people, or at least that's my heart. It's like, well, I want to pay this person eventually. So then that kind of becomes part of the challenge too. Is like, okay, how can I keep growing and keep building this thing until it gets to a point where I can afford to actually pay people for their services and fees? But what I've discovered is that maybe the business model is not based on transactions. Maybe the business model is based on services and products. We call that in the nonprofit world like-kind exchanges. All right? It's very similar to bartering, but it's just basically saying, hey, usually the value of our labor is X times this many hours, so we're willing to give you the X times hours in exchange for a banner sign. So you really have to think about what your value is in terms of your different products and services, and how can you exchange those in lieu of paying them, and vice versa. But I think this is a great transition for Naveed's business, so that was a segue for him.
Thank you, that is a great segue. The reason why Lynn says that is because the innovation that we had at crowd raising is we treat everybody's time equally. So you can pledge, the way a campaign works on crowd raising is you can pledge your time to a campaign. If you go to the site, the one campaign that you'll see is for an author who wanted time for an ebook to be reviewed and to be reviewed on Amazon and reviewed on other sites as well. So on her campaign, what you could do is pledge an hour, review her book, and that got her to the top of her Amazon list, and now she's printing her book, printing an actual physical book. So that's something where she didn't expend any of her resources but got something done. What she had to offer was previews of the book, free copies, signed copies, stuff like that. There are different ways of doing this. I would suggest, is anybody familiar with Indie Hackers, the community? I would definitely suggest just going to Indie Hackers, because these are just stories upon stories of people just like ourselves who have started single person, maybe two-person businesses who are generating cash based on nothing but their ingenuity and resources. They got to other things very fast, but they started and they have their story listed out in detail. So that's a community they can use. And something that's been coming up in the recent past are called ICOs, and based on the decentralization theory of technology, where things like the blockchain and Bitcoin help you to write IOUs, essentially, that are immutable and public, that say, given that you give me X, whether that's time, money, dollars, whatever, I owe you the response to that, and that document is written in the blockchain, so that's something that you might want to consider. There's so many resources out there, and absolutely crowd raising, so come onto the platform, and you can always find a community to help you reach whatever your goals are.
I can't not jump in, is when I'm sitting in these spaces too, I just like to remind people that it's also not just about money. And that's a good question in this space of resources, is what do I need this resource for? Is it to get more money? Or is it to get more connections? Like what is it that I want to bring in? And if you don't know the answer to that question, you probably will waste a lot of your time, because you'll end up in a relationship that is not fruitful. For me, personally, just on a personal level, I was just like, I don't trust myself. I don't want to say I don't trust myself with money, but I don't trust I don't trust myself not to transact and not put that first. And every time I kind of put my feet out there as a freelancer and was doing that, it just would turn into a transaction, and they would get messy. They were messy, and all of a sudden I would not have a friend anymore. And it was happening a decent amount. And so I just started experimenting in different ways, talking about the creativity. And so for the past 3 years, I've intentionally ran 2 businesses, and I live off of $25,000, intentionally. I refuse to make any more money than that. And so that also makes me need to really know my resources, and I have to move it constantly. And I have to ask for help constantly. But it can be done. I think that's like, it can be done. I also though have a pay structure where I charge people $0. I literally have an invoice that says $0, and I ask people to pay it forward. And I ask them to do it in any resource that works for them. And I'm standing here in a decent dress. Maybe I could have some better shoes. I did, and I just took a 6-week sabbatical to Maui. So, and I own a house. So, and that all happened in the past 3 years. So it can be done in a different way. So I think one thing that I'm hearing though is like when you're thinking about resources is what are the questions you're asking yourself? Sometimes when your resources aren't working, when that creativity isn't working, it might be that the questions you're asking are not the right ones. And that's the one to go, that's a place to go back to. And then once you re-switch that question, you'll find different answers. Speaking of that, does anybody have another question to pose for our panel?
So, when are you satisfied?
So the question is, when are you satisfied with your business? Yeah. I'm gonna hit that.
Well, for me, when you're satisfied, to me, I'm never satisfied. I'm just always grinding and working to get to the next level. I feel like there's levels to each step that you want to get to. So like they're saying resources, like I network a lot. Like I network with people. I was here yesterday and met a guy that was into music by me talking to somebody in the elevator. And he just gave me his card and was like, let's work. I was like, cool. So like I network a lot. That's key, is communication. And like, even if you like feel like things are going down, man, just keep communicating, keep believing in your business. And yeah, sometimes it'll feel like a struggle, but you'll never like be satisfied. Like I'm not satisfied yet, but I'm still growing. So, and I'm still like here, you know, it's so many levels, man. So, like I said, the key thing though is just communicating and being there and never burning the bridge with anyone. Just always be about your word, a man of your word or woman of your word, and just make sure you just keep putting your heart into it. Don't never fall asleep on yourself, you know, because you're capable of many things. So, but yeah, that's my answer to that though. I never give up. To me, I feel like I'm gonna keep doing this until I'm old man. So maybe when I'm on a yacht sipping champagne, maybe I'll be a little satisfied, but not all the way.
never is a flippant answer to your serious question, right? So apologies for that. But but it's a serious answer. The answer is, depends on what you want to do. What is the business that you want to do? Why should you even be in a business? Right? Entrepreneurship is not an easy thing, or not something that should be like, it's not something to aspire to. If you're solving a real need, then great, solve it for as many people as you want to solve it for. If you're starting a business that says, I have these needs, financial, lifestyle, whatever it is, I have these needs, and once they're done, I'm done. Great, that's your satisfaction. So something, I cannot tell you when to be satisfied with the business. That's something that each of you have to answer for yourself. But for me, it's never because I don't want to be satisfied. And I think I'm solving a big enough problem that can solve work for the entire planet. So there's no reason for me to be satisfied. But it depends on the individual, I would say.
I think the right question to frame that under is not satisfaction, because I think if you're a real hustler, if you're a real entrepreneur, you're always going to keep trying to improve yourself. I think the real question is, how much contentment and fulfillment do you have doing what you do? For me, I have a core value of freedom, and I've had that since I was a kid. I came from a working class neighborhood, and we lived paycheck to paycheck. We didn't really go on vacations. You know, it was a struggle. There was some peaks, but a lot of valleys. And so for me, I always thought that if I got to a place where I was financially secure, then I would be satisfied. I would be super happy all the time. Well, I achieved that. I lived in Miami. I had a great lifestyle. I lived by the beach. And yet I didn't find fulfillment in that. So once you come to a place where you have a career, whether that's working for yourself, working for somebody else, where you have this core of contentment, and what you're doing every day is fulfilling, and then you have that core value wheelhouse that you're operating from, which, like I said, for me is freedom. I like having the freedom and flexibility to do what I want. You know, whether that's starting a business, whether that's helping people, whether that's serving my community, serving at my church, whatever it is, I need to have that flexibility to do that. The minute somebody pigeonholes me and says, hey, I need for you to work from 8 to 5, I'm done, I'm out. I just can't do it. So that's I think, you know, a better question, because I don't see myself ever being satisfied. The philosophy of Wework, because it's very similar to mine, it's, are you looking forward to working on Monday? Are you hating that it's Friday because now you got to relax, or try to force yourself to relax until Monday? That's kind of the attitude I have, because I'm very fulfilled and content with what I do. So it's hard to turn myself off.
All right, any other questions?
This program put together we've gone through for 3 years. I wish I would have had this boot camp a long time ago, and then I would have already been on my way. Now, will I incur any other costs from trying to start my business? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have my business cards, I have my flyers, I have these things, okay? You know, I know there's other costs. I don't quite know where they are, but is that something you guys will give us the resources to be able to get that cost or whatever it is? Or how is this all going to work?
It's a good question. So the question is really around the cost of starting a business, right? So there's the startup costs, which sounds like you've got covered, like the basics that you need. I'm going to answer my personal opinion is up to you. Example with one of my businesses right now, where we kind of made a values judgment. We said we're not going to invest in the next phase of our website or our CRM system. Really, actually, was more that, and we're going to use an Excel sheet until we have X number of people. It was like 5,000 people. It went, and even though it put a strain on our time, and it put a strain on our resources. But it was a decision because we knew that once we hit 5,000 people, we would have hit a tipping point where we wouldn't go back. Like we took a certain amount of steps. So it's a great question to ask yourself, and that's the beauty of running a business is you got to decide. And a lot of people will want to decide for you, and that's where a team is. It helps you to kind of stay rooted into what you know is true for you. But I want to leave this.
Depending on your business, like for me, I use the bartering system like him, like he says, which is just networking with people. Like you can do something for them, they'll help you out with what they can do, you know? So like I'm getting a free website because I'm gonna help them engineer, you know, like and stuff like that. So like I have a guy that does distribution with CDs. He needs an engineer as well, and he's in Greeley. So I'm gonna go out there, engineer for him. I can go there anytime I want, utilize the studio whenever I want for free now, you know, just because I'm helping him. So it's all about helping your other people's business grow as well. So if you could find people like that, like when you're networking and you're like communicating with people, if you can find people that has the same drive as you, they might have something you can do for them and something they can do for you. So you won't even need money, you know. So it's about trading. Like I have shows I'm booking here. I got guys in the East Coast like, hey, let's trade shows. I'm like, okay, cool. So free now. So now we're doing a coast to coast tour, you know. So it's all about, yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's music, I can help you. But if it's I don't know about computers and stuff. Like I have people that do computer repair and all that stuff too. Like working with computers. So I mean, it's all about resources, like they said, like whoever you talk to. Like I'll pass out cards to whoever wants one. If I can help, I'll definitely help. You don't have to pay me nothing. You know, it's all about growth for me, and others. I want to see people grow around me as well. So.
Mark Cuban has this great line. He says, "Sales cures everything." So at the initial point of the thing, you'll have initial cost, right? And you said you have a computer repair business. I have a family, person in the family who runs the same thing. I would say get onto all the classifieds, right? That's a force multiplier for you. Why do you have to work on a flyer or a PDF or anything when you could just get on the Angie's List or whatever all the classifieds are and have your presence there and maintain the credibility on those platforms that says, hey, in this area, do you know anybody computer repair? Go to that person right there. And that minimizes your work, minimizes your cost, gets you sales. So like getting to the first sale with the least cost is what you should be thinking of. So once you get sales, then it's a growth mechanism where you can multiply yourself.
So the question is, do you get any resources from your competitors? Juiciness. It's juicy.
So in business, you do have frenemies. And these are folks that are doing the same thing or similar to what you're doing. And yes, you do collaborate with them because they may have a network or whatever they have, it may be something you don't have and vice versa. So a lot of times, even outside of my industry, in other industries, you can have people that they kind of have their own target audience or market, right? And so it doesn't fit for them serving them. So they have kind of these leftover customers. Well, where can they send them to? If you're their partner, you send them to them, right? And vice versa. Because, every business says, oh yeah, we take everybody, who shows up. Okay, maybe Walmart, maybe Amazon. But there's not a lot of businesses that could say, well, we serve everybody. There's going to be leftovers. And so if you can connect with another business that's in your similar field, it could be location, right? Well, I can only service people in Colorado Springs, but I know there's a similar company that does exactly what we do up in Denver, or Aurora, or wherever you're at.
I would say one more thing. Segmenting the market, whether by location, by customer size, or whatever it is something that you can always co-opt from your competition. To give you an example, yesterday I met a gentleman from Montana who runs a 3D scanning business. So he does only he scans people for figurines, for schools and stuff like that. But he made a contact with an enterprise person who does buildings and football fields and stuff like that. So totally different. It's the same technology, but totally different applications. What this person learned from the enterprise person is how he was going after the wrong market. So there's always market opportunities that you know from talking to from competition. And especially if you're going into something where you're going to face the government, like Uber and Lyft did, it's better to Uber and Lyft to talk to each other and work towards fighting new regulation than to fight against each other. So something like that, where you have a common enemy, or industry organizations where you can form your own local organization that help you do group buying, basically, is something that is massively influential.
And for me, that question really just comes down to values again. Right? If you have a value of cooperation, you'll find a way. And what both of them said too is, or actually, Lynn, you said at the beginning too, is like if you find value everywhere, you'll find it even in your competitors. And you'll design structures for that to happen. Yeah. Do you still have a question, Oliver? Go ahead. Oliver is our intern coordinator, aka the master of everything.
So my question is, today's Lunch and Learn is talking about resources, and what I've noticed the three panelists talk about is networking and how they use their network to achieve certain goals and to get stuff done together. My question would be, is there a strategy that you guys have in place when you know you need to network, or does it just happen? Or can you talk a little bit about what networking looks for you and how you approach that to get something done, since we're talking about resources? Because I know that maybe, I'm still learning, so maybe my networking, I have some faults in it and things in areas where I can improve to get resources out of those people that I interact with.
Lynn is the master at making networking look super easy.
That happens when you get older and you've been doing it for a while. So, two parts: natural, it's just natural now for me, but also strategic. There are times, I love this concept. I'm a Timothy Ferriss fan, so if you've ever read 4 Hour Work Week or listened to the audiobook or his website, he has these amazing interviews about life hacking and lifestyle design. But one that has consistently stuck with me that I kind of use as my New Year's resolution. I don't, people have New Year's resolutions or what have you. I call it New Year's strategy. One is the lead domino. So how does that apply to networking? If you go to an event that you know a lot of players are going to be at, it's worth your time and money, even if it costs money to go, because of who you'll meet. That it would take you days, weeks, months, or even years to get these same players in the same room at one time, and that is a value that is worth, if you're a good networker, to go talk to those people, meet them, they meet you. You've already done your research, so I would also say that another aspect of effective networking is do your homework on people. Social media makes it easy. I'm still kind of old school when it comes to that, and I can still figure out people without social media. Social media is icing on the cake for me. But do the homework about them to even know if they're worth networking with. But if they're a major player in whatever industry you're trying to get into, they're going to be a major influencer. And therefore, they're going to know a lot of people. So even if they aren't willing to help you, they know people who could, that probably would. So But yeah, it's a natural thing, but it can also be a strategic thing. And so you want to be mindful of wherever you go to be open to having conversations with people, and that's what I teach my students, because you know, some people are introverted. I was an introverted person as a kid, and the only thing that brought me out of my shell was being forced to be a translator in France for all of my college buddies, because no one else knew a lick of French, so I had to translate for them, and they were way more extroverted than me, and they would literally go up to strangers asking for directions, where to eat, and I had to interpret for them, so they would force me, hey, come, what did they say, and so that brought me out of my shell. All right.
Well, I like what he said, because that's what I do, exactly. I plan out the events, I see them like months ahead of time, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to this event. I search around, basically I just walk around, I look for the top dogs, honestly, like the biggest artists there are the owner of the venue, and I literally just go up and I just introduce myself, like, hey, I'm D-Rain, this is what I do. And then I tell them what I do, I'm like, do you have a number? How can I get in contact with you, do any type of business with you? So like, that's how my networking is. I just get straight to the point. I go to people, like I'm not nervous with them. I go straight up to them, tell them who I am, and be like, hey, I'm a hard worker, I really want to work. So that's what I do for networking, man. Like right now, like when I seen you, I was talking to you about stuff, you know, so like that's the big key though, is just knowing where you want to go in your lane, like for your business. Go around people in that business, and you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them that you're in this and you're trying to grow as well. And people will help you, man. So like they'll see what you're doing, they'll believe in you, and as long as you're coming at them with positive energy and a good vibe to them, like people will give you love and respect. So that's what I do. I just go to the main people that's really important. Sometimes I'll go to the small artists as well, just to help them out with resources as well, because I know how it is, because I've been there. You don't have communication with people, and you don't have like people there that you know yet. So that's major though. Like I like his method, the domino effect. Like what did you call it? The lead domino? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I do that all the time though. I just go straight in the menu. I know what I want. I already have it planned out. I came in there with a strategy, and I make sure when I go somewhere, I'll take like 40 cards, and I'll make sure every card is passed out to someone important. So even if they throw it away, like, I'll give it to them. So
I just wanted to have one tactical answer, because Lynn and both of them didn't give you strategic answers. There's a military principle called OODA, the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. So whenever you go into a room, follow the OODA: observe, orient, decide, act. Observe who the people are, orient yourself towards themselves, decide if you want to talk to these people, act on it. OODA. So.
And smile. And also, like one of my core principles, assume value everywhere. So I get into a Lyft car, I won't take Uber, but like I get into a Lyft car, and somebody asks me what I do, I'm gonna assume value everywhere. And for me last year, it didn't work out for other reasons, but I ended up in a potential contract to do business with all of the retirement communities in Colorado. Just because this Lyft driver spends 2 hours a day driving, 2 hours a week driving a Lyft, just to be connected to other folks. And like that's his strategy to network. I think that sometimes when we're in formal settings, like these guys are masters. Like Lynn doesn't even carry business cards. And like, I don't know how he does, like, observe him, because he's got that down. But when you're out and about, let serendipity work for you. And the way to do that is to assume value everywhere. At the grocery store, that smile, just saying hello and thank you, you never know where those conversations will go. With that, I'm gonna assume value everywhere with these guys and say thank you and ask you all to give them a round of applause with me. Do you have any final thoughts? You don't have to have any final thoughts. Crowdraising.co. Yeah, Be humble. Do you want to talk about Boot Up, or do you want me to? Lynn? Yeah.
So I guess it's my pitch. I'm really excited about this accelerator. This has been literally a dream, and crafting this for 3 years to provide something to underserved, underrepresented entrepreneurs or freelancers or small business owners who just don't have, speaking of resources, don't have access, don't have resources, don't have that opportunity to be in an environment, whether that's a startup, beautiful environment like Wework, or don't even know that co-working exists. To come into an environment like this, learn how to start a business, how to design a business around you. So that was another value for me, is that I'm definitely a lifestyle entrepreneur, and what that means is that kind of and get paid to do that. So for me, I enjoy teaching and being a professional. I get paid to do that. But with the accelerator, you get to figure out what works for you. You get to figure out whether you're a lifestyle entrepreneur, or you want to be the next Zuckerberg, or you want to work from home, or so there's so many avenues to learn how to be a business person and work for yourself, or even if you don't want to just do it full time, if you want to just have side money coming in. It's shameful that most Americans only have one stream of income. I don't know any celebrity, I don't know any entertainer that, and trust me, they could just do that and be good, right? Most of those folks can make $1 million a year, and we will never see that. But yet they still have multiple streams of income. So why does an average American just settle for one avenue of income? So that's something else that you'll be challenged to figure out through the accelerator. And at the end, I'm really excited. We do have some partnerships with microlenders. So if, that's a big if, you wanted to, your particular business needed more capital than what you'd be able to raise within that 8-week time period on your own, then they would love to have you, because they really believe in our program. Because when you think about it, you know, when most small business owners or newbies go to a bank, they don't have really proof of anything. No proof of concept, no sales. And what we're saying in the 8 weeks that you'll be with us is that we're holding you accountable to that. You meet with us every 3 hours a week on a Thursday, whether that's in the morning or in the evening. We're gonna hold you to that, and we have really good exercises and resources to help you assess how you're gonna make that happen, while you have a support team behind you of our wonderful collaborative partners and facilitators, Nicole being one of our facilitators, as well as my intern team. Let me give a shout out to my intern team. Show of hands for my great interns who are here. So if you're interested, let me put a plug in for that as well. If you're interested in being a part of this movement of Spark U and being immersed in collaborative and entrepreneurial learning environment, we do believe in the earn while you learn model. There's a few steps to get there in order to achieve that, but if you're interested in talking to me about that after this, then I'd be more than happy to. And it starts this Thursday, so sign up today.
Do the technical stuff. We've got, if you are interested in signing up for the accelerator that starts Thursday, we have a morning and evening session. It's 8 weeks. We have our sign up on any one of, there's, you talk to Oliver. If you want to help us spread the word, we have some of these handy things out. We have a few spots left. And we will run it again in the fall. And we have several other events like this, and then our monthly Get Stuff Done Together session at the Commons is in July as well. And all of that stuff is on our newly launched website. So sparku.net for now. .com in the next 48 hours. So thank you all for coming. Feel free to finish off the food, stick around and talk to our panel, talk to each other, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all.